Hey guys, it's Tim Gillette with another Tim Gillette show. Hey, and I've got a great guest for you guys today. All right, as you know, I bring on people and I get to know them on screen. So today's guest is someone who I have kind of gotten to know. Has been a speaker at one of my virtual events, and is someone who's all of a sudden we're getting intertwined quite a bit with the. We have a lot of areas that we've kind of like meshed in and connected with each other on, and decided to bring her on the show and get to know her as a guest. And our guest today is Regena Rosa-Celeste. Now, I met her at Nancy Matthews' event, who's been a previous guest in our last season. Nancy, a great friend of mine. But then really recently I realized we're connected through Joe Pardo. So, I mean, we've got a lot of great connections. So what I'm going to do is bring her on the air here, and we're going to get to know her in a wonderful episode today. Hello, Regena.
Hi, Tim. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm really good.
So, like, I understand you're getting busy all of a sudden.
I am. I am.
I mean,
myself, how does that happen?
I don't know. I thought we were like you know what I mean. If you watch the news, we're all stuck at home and have nothing to do. But like, I don't watch the news, so I don't believe it.
Me neither. I don't do much news.
I can't take negativity. I'm guessing you're one of those people who can't take negativity either.
You know, it's interesting. Negativity, it does have an effect on me, and I've noticed my own energy shifting when I'm around negativity. So I do my best to stay away from it. And yeah, I'm not a fan.
But I mean, let's face it. All right, it's a tough world out there right now, and negativity is everywhere. Now, I get it. All right, a battery on a car takes positive and negative to make the right energy. But negativity is creeping out there. And when I look at someone like you, who's a positive influence in the world, how do you balance the negative and positive to make it a better energy world?
Such a good question. So contrast, right? We love contrast because it shows us what we don't want. So one of the ways that I've learned is by actually, when it does happen, when negativity shows up in my lap, actually I pick it up, right? Like a ball. And I pick it up and I kind of look at it. And sometimes if I'm in a good space, I'll just look at it and I'll say thank you and I'll put it down and I'll walk away or invite it away. And then other times I will not be so lucky and I will engage in it, right? Like I did a little bit this week. And, you know, just before we started the show, I think you and I both agreed that sometimes things happen, and whether we like it or not, it becomes like a roller coaster, right? So the question becomes is how long do you want to ride that wave, that roller coaster? And so the part of doing is actually helping people to understand that there are tools and there are techniques that can actually help us to regain that positivity. And just like you said, I mean, it's such a great example you said about the battery charge. And if we put our phones and our computers and all these things on charging stations, and we think about ourselves in a similar fashion, we also need to recharge. So we need to exercise, we need to eat right, we need to think positively, be around positive people, be engaged in experiences and things that actually lift us up. And when that negativity does creep in, which it will, because it's human nature, right? We're all in this human body experience. Then it's a matter of going back into those tools and techniques to actually recharge us back to the positive threshold, so to speak, and then bring us back up.
Wow. And it's, I mean, it's a weird world. And I love how you use the charging station analogy. All right. Because I've always seen it like, Zig always said, something about, being positive and getting motivation. He says, that's why we encourage it daily, because we also encourage you to bathe daily. Right. It's like, we're surrounded by negativity. So like, we're just the opposite, trying to put the positivity to help balance it. Do you feel that way?
I do. Yeah. And you said it so well, because even today I was driving to go pick up something for this very topic, which is so funny that that's what we're talking about. And it was all about, I was talking actually to my mom, and I was telling her how interesting it is, because all of the answers we really have inside of ourselves, right? Inside of our minds. And I can tell you're a spiritual person, right? Kind of hide it a little bit, but you have it. And
Yeah, I do.
What I totally love about our community, combined communities, right, is that we all agree that there are so many things out of our control, but the things that we do have control over, that's actually I think our superpower is that we get to have these positive types of being, ways of being. And it's really important to utilize whatever tools and be around the types of people that can remind us that that's who we are, that's our nature. And
Hmm.
unfortunately, in today's society, we need more of those charging stations around our lives, right? So we might need more of those plug-in stations if we're talking, station wise. Like we need to, I think, really cocoon ourselves in this environment of positivity even more and amplify, because right now there is so much negativity that's being, unfortunately, uh, thrown into the cosmos and thrown into our everyday life. So it's going to take a little bit more effort for us to maintain it, but that's also a wonderful opportunity because then we get to build and create more communities. I mean, like, what are the odds, right? We met just a few months ago and now we're combining circles, and I love that. It just validates for me, like, yes, I'm on the right path.
Cool, cool. Well, I mean, when it comes to what you know, what I mean, positivity and stuff, and you've got several different things out there. When I was researching the stuff about you, you don't have just two different sides. It sounds like on one side you have two different businesses. It seems like real estate and positivity and yoga. What? Explain how you have two different.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I struggled with that for a very long time. For a couple of years, I was actually like, well, I can't tell people that I'm into the yoga and the spirituality because they won't get it. And then the people that I was talking to on the spiritual side, they were like, what does the real estate have to do with it? And as I went down this journey and this quest, I noticed the theme that I was doing coaching in both worlds, right? I was helping people, coaching them through their real estate goals and transactions, whether buyer or seller, investor. And then when it came to teaching yoga, which was kind of an accident that turned into an amazing gift, I noticed I was doing similar things where I was working with my students and coaching them through emotional stuff and physical stuff. And then I noticed, oh, the theme is coaching.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I found myself a transformation coach, kind of organically, mindset transformation coach. And then I dug deeper and I started noticing the theme was I was helping people actually achieve a sense of peace,
Mm-hmm.
whether it was through their real estate transactions or their wealth strategy or their yoga pose or meditating. There was this common thread of helping them access internal peace. And I'll be the first one to say, like, full disclosure, I'm not always at peace.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I get upset like everybody else. I get mad sometimes. I get angry. I get frustrated. I'm sad, right? But I know now how to just reclaim that internal peace at any given moment. And sometimes I don't want to. It might take me an hour, right? Or it might take me 10 seconds, or it might take me 10 days. But the key is now and I think that's where mastery comes in for all of us.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're a master with video, right? And blogging and helping people get their messages out. And, I've heard your story. It's not overnight. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it took you time and effort and your journey, and your story has helped make you who you are, which is really, I think, it's the cred, right? The credibility that we get to now bring into our experience, which allows us to teach others. Like, if I didn't have a journey of depression and anxiety, I wouldn't be able to teach people what it looks like on the other side.
It's interesting you say that. You say about my journey, and you're always someone who decides to be at peace. It seems like the world wants to find instant success, instant gratification. They want the problem fixed now. All right. And I can say, what I mean, in my business, yeah, a lot of things don't get fixed now. However, I feel, and you can tell me if I'm, how you feel on this too, is like, peace is a decision. Like, I decide I'm going to be at peace, all right, or I decide if I'm going to let this infuriate me. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. And I think you hit the nail on the head, because the truth is it's, and I'm just going to say it, what's coming up for me is it's a sense of emotional intellect, right? And emotional maturity, or
Hmm.
what is the word I'm looking for? Emotional IQ,
Hmm.
right? It doesn't mean that someone always wants to make that decision. Like we don't always want to be, as I call it, adulting, right?
Yeah.
Nobody really wants to pay their bills, and nobody really wants to, pay their mortgage and pay their credit cards and go to work and do all these things. But when you do it with a sense of freedom, because you know that you're serving someone, you know that it's bigger than you, right? It's
Yeah.
bigger than me, and it's bigger than each one of our problems. The problem becomes so small and becomes so much more like the serving part of it, and the us being able to see past the challenges. And I totally relate. Like yesterday, I had tons of tech issue yesterday, and I'm launching this new membership and all this stuff, and I was just super frustrated in the beginning part of the week because things weren't going according to my plan. And
Hmm.
then I realized I just needed to like surrender and lean back, as I call it, energetically, and just be like, okay, source, okay, universe, like you tell me what's next. And things started lining up. Like I actually got, a ton of calls on one of my listings. And then meanwhile, one of my real estate clients that I was feeling frustrated was calling me apologizing. And then a friend was doing the same, and all these different things were lining up, and my tech guy was calling, and I was like, oh, all I had to do was let go, right? And
Hmm.
so I think it totally 100% is a choice. And I have this very simple 3-part technique that I teach people, and it's almost silly because we all know what we need to do, but it's very hard to remember, if that makes any sense,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so in this, really simple strategy, it's how do I, or how do we, right? How do we make that choice that you're talking about? Because in the moment that it's happening, when someone's cutting you off in traffic, or you get a phone call, someone's about to file a judgment against you, or, your business partner, it's Nancy.
It's Nancy Matthews.
Hi, Nancy.
I love Nancy Matthews.
Me too. One of my angels. She's
Yeah.
one of my angels for sure. And Nancy's a great example. I mean, she's seen me, at my lowest low, right? And she's seen me now helping support me as I glide through life. And it's not always a glide, right?
Hmm.
It's
Hmm.
people don't know and see. And this is what I love about social media is people don't see what's on the other side. Like life is curated online. It's very pretty with pretty pictures and pretty words and all this stuff. But the reality is there's this whole other thing going on underneath the surface outside the screen.
Hmm.
One of the things that I find that really people struggle with, including myself, I've had that struggle, right? Sometimes I still do, where we lose that piece. We get robbed of that internal piece because we're doing what I call comparisitis. We have comparisitis, right? Where
Hmm.
we're looking and we're seeing what other people are doing, and we're thinking, oh my gosh, like my stuff needs to look like that, or I should be having this, or how come she has that or he has that. And the reality is I have no idea what their problems are like on outside the screen. And truthfully, it's none of my business,
Yeah.
right?
And probably what I always heard the one too is like you're probably comparing your worst to their best.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. And
Yeah.
and deeper than that even, and I so love that. I'm gonna borrow that if it's okay.
Mhm. Yeah.
um I think one of the most important is it's a worthiness conversation, and it's, how um how do I feel about myself,
Hmm.
right? And I think anybody who's a success can agree and admit that they've had to really look at themselves in the mirror and ask themselves, how much do I really love myself?
Yeah. Yeah.
Not from an egoic place, from a, am I willing to be raw and vulnerable with me, right? In
Yeah.
order to be raw and vulnerable with other people.
Yeah.
And
I
until we, yeah,
and I hate that raw and vulnerable part. I mean, there's times I don't want you to see the real me.
same
I
here.
mean, and I bet you have it too. I mean, there's, but it's there, and I know that every one of my clients, every one of the people who watch this show, all have it. You know what I mean? And I'm sure you have it too. But like knowing they have it and wanting to help them is, oh, that's easy. but dealing with it, it's like, oh shit.
Yeah. It's so true. Well, and it's, it's kind of reminds me of like this is probably a bad scenario, but or example, but like we all have this little gremlin that lives inside of us, right? And like it's only a gremlin because it's living in darkness. The minute it's like that movie, right? The Gremlins. Like I had a dog when I was 11 years old, and we had him, I think, until I was 22. He passed away when I was 22. His name is Gizmo. And Gizmo was this cute Pomeranian, or no, not Pomeranian, he's Pekingese, big bug eyes, right? And he was
Yeah.
like, you know, to me, he was the cutest thing ever. But to other people, he was like ugly. And I was like, oh, how could you call him ugly? That's my baby. But I remember Gizmo, and I remember we named him after the movie, Gremlins. And I loved that movie represented because, thanks, Larry. I remember what
Yep.
it
Don't
represented.
put water on him. Oh.
That's right. Don't put water on him. Exactly. And Nancy's right. Like um the whole fear of the concept was that the gremlin would come out of the dark, right? And in order to keep him alive, they had to keep him in the darkness. They had to keep him
Mhm.
away from the light. And as
Yeah.
long
Yeah.
as we keep our insecurities and our suffering inside of ourselves and we don't share it with someone we trust, like a coach or a friend. Like I'm not saying wear your heart on your sleeve and tell the whole world, like, every single problem, right? Because that's a level of expertise, and like how do you want the world to see you, right? But it's more about, like, now I'm not worried about telling people that I had depression, and that I'm dealing with anxiety, and that there was days when I wanted to end my, like, that's part of my story. That's part of now what makes me wake up in the morning is knowing that I overcame that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I know it'll happen
For
again
some
one
of
day.
us, Regina, we still battle it. And most people don't know that about me, and it's not because of my. It's because of a medication I'm on for epilepsy, and it's a side effect of depression. And it's something that, like, I chose to fight without more medication. But you have victory over it. I'd love to get victory over it, but I know that it's going to be with me, or I got to get or have an epileptic seizure. But you got over it. So I mean, wow, wow. All right, I want to know your victory anyway.
Well, I love you more. And it's, I truly believed him. Like there is zero accidents. And
Mhm, mhm,
I think, to me, you are a victory.
mhm,
Like the fact that you just said what you said, and the
mhm,
fact that you so generously shared what's really real for you, right?
mhm.
Like if each one of us worried less what other people thought of us, and was willing and able, because it's like you said, it's a choice, right?
Mhm.
Is, do I want to be happy, or do
Yeah.
I want to be a prisoner of my pain?
Mhm,
And
mhm.
like there's tons of people right now that are in my head that I think, wow, I feel so sorry for them,
Yeah.
because they are prisoners of their pain. They would rather fight for their limitations than fight for their victories. And
Yeah.
the only way to do that is by talking about them and being willing to be supported and nurtured, and to be so, I'm going to be so Pollyanna, and I'm going to say, to be loved,
Mm,
right, by
yeah.
the community. Because we might not be able to get rid of all of the ailments in the world, but we could at least create peace in people's hearts.
Yeah.
Like if we can help, and obviously, I'm gonna share example, because I feel like, we've developed this friendship. I hope, that I'm so bold to say that. And I feel like if we can, one another, like even if it's just helping you feel better physically,
Mhm,
right? Emotionally, mentally, like whatever that is, even though you're taking medication, like that's
mhm.
already a victory, because that's already like knowing we're not stuck with this armor of doubt and frustration. You know what I mean? Like, and I know I might have another 10 years, and I might have an episode. I don't know, but I teach the tools taught, I feel, are so amazing, and they're so simple that now, that even in those moments of real darkness where my gremlin is kicking in and taking over, I can get myself back on track, and I can steer the bus.
Cool. Cool. So, I mean, you have like two different businesses, all right, as we were saying earlier, and you know what I mean. The main thing that you are out here trying to promote right now is the inner peace with people, and that's something. I mean, I got to admit, you know what I mean. It's one of the reasons I'm attracted to you is because I realized that was something, you know what I mean, I struggled with. You know what I mean? And a lot of people are out there; they're still struggling with it, you know, and it's so good that you're bringing it to light. Um, but I mean, what is the website that they can find you and get connected to you with?
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's internalpeacenow.com.
Mm-hmm.
And I do have a free gift on there. So anyone that goes on there would love to share that with them. And I will say this, the internal peace, as I call it, internal peace renegades revolution,
Mm-hmm.
it's a community of like-minded people like us who have struggled with internal peace and have struggled with this concept that we choose it. And we can choose it over and over again. We can choose it every moment. We can choose it every day. We can choose it every 5 days. There's no measuring stick that says, a person has to be happy all the time. Like life sucks sometimes, right? But it doesn't have to.
Sure. No,
it doesn't have to. And I'm living. We can, with the help of people that love us and support us, I think we can overcome anything. And for, especially right now with what's going on in the world, like, I think there's never been a better time for people to have these kinds of conversations, because there's always opportunities and always ways that we get robbed of our joy and our inner peace.
yeah, and even right now, I mean, tough times that we've gone through in America, I love seeing the TV ads that are going, hey, if you just need someone to talk to, I mean, here, and I don't know the name of the organization, but if I did, I would mention it on here. But they're saying, hey, just reach out right now. And I'm sure you're doing that too with everybody you know in your community. Is, hey, you need to talk. Let's reach out. Because that's it. All right. There's some of us that battle and haven't found the victory. And there's others that, okay, we found the victory in the fact that it's the choices we make every day that get us to the victory. So I know we were doing a short broadcast today because I know Regina actually has another appointment that she has to make. She is so busy that she had to carve out a tiny bit of time for me. I appreciate that so much.
I appreciate you. I felt so bad telling you. I was like, oh my God, how do I tell Tim this? But I had this thing that was super, this was the only window I had. So I'm honored to be on your show and to be with your audience. And I hope that this is helpful.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. All right. You gave quite a bit of information in the short amount of time you're here, but I do have to finish up my show with my little game.
Can't wait. I'm so excited.
So I've got 9 questions that are this or that, and I've written them all out. And we'll probably go through them faster than normal, but we'll go do them anyway. Here they are. I'm going to give you 2 choices. You pick which one to you, and I hope some of these you have an opinion on all of them, but some of them you might not. Number 1 is I like to find who my nerds and geeks are, and that is I ask Star Wars or Star Trek.
Ooh, Star Wars.
Star Wars? Okay. How about beach or mountains?
Tim, that's a tough one. I love both.
I
lived in both, actually. Literally 6 months and 6 months.
Yeah.
Right now, mountains.
Yeah. To me, it's mountains in the summertime, beach in the wintertime.
Yeah, that's exactly what I had. My logo, actually, that's exactly that. Beach and mountains.
So I'll go back to another sci-fi movie, and that is Red Pill or Blue Pill.
Oh, Blue Pill, definitely.
Okay. Taco or hamburger?
Is it tofu?
You can have anything you want on the taco. I mean, come on. Tacos are like, some of the greatest tacos are vegan tacos.
Seriously. Yeah, I'll stick with tacos. Yeah.
This next one here is probably close to what you have, and it's close to I've seen you in both, but yoga pants or dress up?
Oh, I love that. Probably dress up because I'm in yoga pants all the time.
I've seen you in both, so. My next one here is a little bit, would you rather have a drink, a glass of wine or a beer?
Definitely depends on the day, but like tonight will be wine.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about if you're in the car, do you listening to podcast or music?
It's a podcast, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. I've gotten so into listening to podcasts, I hardly ever have music on in my car anymore, but yeah.
I thought you were doing one of these, like, I'm going to wring your neck if it's not a podcast.
No, I'm like scratching my neck because it itches. Okay. My next one here is the controversial one, and that is the toilet paper. Does it go over on the roll or under?
I love that question. Oh my God, that's so cool. Okay, so I've done studies about this one, and they say depending on which one it is, about a person. So for logistics, over, but I actually like under.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
That question has created wars, and actually one girl on my show many, many moons ago said that she would break up with a guy if she has to change the toilet paper from under to over 3 times. That's it. Relationship's over. My last one might relate at this point in time, and it might be a past in your history or a point in your future, and that is boxers or briefs.
Really? I would say neither.
A girl after my own heart. What can I say? Yeah. Yeah, my wife likes when they're off too. So anyway.
I mean, come on. Just, it's so much easier, you know, but yeah.
Anyway, this has been yeah, it is. I love doing that game because it really makes people go, oh yeah, uh-huh. Yeah. Anyway. So one more time, say your website so they can find you real quick. And, you know what I mean? Appreciate you being on the show today.
Yeah, Tim, thank you so much. It's internalpeacenow.com.
Okay. Guys, you the listener, thank you for tuning in, getting to know a little bit about Regena. And go check her out, internalpeace.com. All right. Visit her website, sign up for her freebie that she's got over there. All right. And get that information from her and connect with on social media as well. You'll see her around my network quite a bit more from this point on. So just be watching for her. I'm Tim Gillette with the Tim Gillette Show. Be sure to subscribe on our Apple Podcast, our YouTube channel, and I'll see you next time. Bye now.
Bye, everyone.